I will start by doing a quick introduction about the course, what it is about, what you cover in different modules, what is the assessment strategy. And then I'll open up the floor to Alison Keogh. Alison, who is our module lead, module 3 lead, and we'll do a bit of Q&A with Alison. And then we will welcome Belenda. Belenda, who completed a course with us already and has a lot to share about her own experience in the course and after her experience with us at Trinity College. And I would like to thank both Alison and Belenda for joining us today as well and be able to talk about what we do in the Healthcare Innovation Program. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. There we go. Okay, guys, can I have a thumbs up if you can see my screen, please?
Yep.
Really cool. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go then. So a bit of information about the Postgraduate Certificate in Healthcare Innovation. Once you complete the course, you should be able to evaluate theories and concepts associated with creativity and innovation in the healthcare context. You use structured methods of brainstorming and ideation, empathize with a broad group of stakeholders to identify their needs, demonstrate critical reasoning skills in identifying the business model and in assessing the viability of the new venture opportunities. Critique the commercial, social, ethical, political, and cultural value associated with healthcare innovation, and present and communicate in a professional and informed manner a venture elevator pitch. So that would be once you complete the course. In the course, we have 3 modules. Each modules are worth 10 credits. And to remind you, this is a level 9 program. Module 1, which is named Innovation and Creativity in Healthcare. This module explores the principles and practices associated with creativity and innovation. It exposes students to framework and methodologies for idea generation, problem solving, and creative collaboration in order to support positive innovation in a healthcare context. And to give you an example of classes that will be happening in Module 1, we have, for example, design thinking, empathy mapping, and storyboarding. That's not all. I'm not going to spoil you what's happening in Module 1, but that gives you an idea of what's happening in Module 1. In Module 2, Opportunity Generation, Recognitions, and Communication, the aim of this module is to provide the students with the tools to generate and recognize entrepreneurial opportunities. There's also a focus on the communication and articulation of such opportunities in an influential manner. So in Module 2, we'll focus a lot on healthcare trends, stakeholder mappings, and also we'll do a bit of reflection to learn about all your journey with us so far. And finally, Module 3, Enterprise Development in Healthcare. This module focuses specifically on the creation, development, growth, and funding of innovation-driven new ventures in healthcare. It's designed to build on the learning from Modules 1 and 2, and to increase confidence in students in their new ventures evaluations, viewing ventures through the perspectives of their multiple stakeholders, most notably the potential investors. Over the course of Module 3, each student will identify a new healthcare innovation opportunity to explore and deliver as a venture pitch presentation. So in Module 3, you learn about Lean Canvas model, venture funding, and pitching. And that's very exciting because the pitching part is something that we love in healthcare innovation, and our assessors love it as well, external examiners love it as well. So I'm really excited about seeing what you guys will produce at the end of the course. Don't worry, if you don't have an idea yet about what you would like your, your venture to be about, you don't have to worry about that. This is a process that you will learn along the way with us. So don't let that stopping you from applying from the course, because we will be supporting you in finding what you want to explore as a new venture. Okay, regarding assessment, I know it can be something that sometimes is a bit scary when we haven't been in education for a while. Going back, it's like, oh my God, please no exams, that's terrifying. Don't worry, we don't have exams. So you don't have to worry about being sitting in a classroom with a pen and paper. Not gonna be happening. What we do instead, we do assessments. So what you can see on your screen right now is the current assessment methodology. Nonetheless, we are currently reviewing it. So it might be a little bit different once we start in October. But in Module 1, there are 2 assessments, both worth 50%, and we normally do a group presentation and then a group written report. In Module 2, there is a reflection work worth 40%, and then an individual written report worth 60%. Finally, in Module 3, we have an individual pitch, as we just talked about, and then an individual report worth 50%. Just so you know, the passing grade in Trinity College is 50%, and you need to pass all your components. But don't worry about that. We have a super team supporting you to make sure that you're capable of doing it and that you graduate with us in February the year after. Here's the draft timetable. It's pretty finished, to be honest with you. I have to keep the word draft until it's 100% confirmed, but it's pretty there. You have it available on our website as well, so you can find it on the website. But just so you know, we start on the 2nd of October, and we'll finish the classes on the 13th of March. We will still have a couple of assessments due, but the classes will finish on the 13th of March. The classes are happening every second week. On Friday, it's online from 2 to 5, and the classes are live. We do not record our classes. And then on Saturday, you come face-to-face to Trinity College, and the classes are from 9:30 until 4:30. Just so you know as well, because the course is funded by Springboard, you are required to attend 80% of each module, sorry. So you need to attend your classes, you have to be there. That said, we do understand that you are mature students getting back to education, you have different priorities, you might have a family, you might have another job as well, so you are busy people. So we tend to be as supportive as possible. As long as we're in touch, we communicate about what's happening, and we support you as best as we can to make sure you're successful in your studies with us. Apologies, I'm a little bit sick, as you can hear. Okay, a few examples of who has been attending the course so far, just to show you that it's a very broad classroom. Like, you will be quite surprised with the people you will meet in the class. It's quite diverse. You will have people who work in mental health. You have people who are working in pharmacies. They're doctors, they are medtech, people working in healthcare policy, people who are dentistry, people who are unemployed, people who are in midwifery, nurses, a very, very diverse group of people. And what we do and what we love doing is that we learn from each other as well. It's not just about us teaching in the class, it's very interactive, and it's about you learning with each other as well. And you'll see you do a lot of that, especially in Module 1 when you do group work. And we do make the most of it because you all are coming with a different background, different culture, and you have so much to bring to the classroom that we really try to make the most of it. And that's all I have to say about the course right now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to put them in the chat box while we are talking, and then we'll get through all of them. I've done my part about presenting what is the course about. I hope it's getting you a bit excited about what we do in healthcare innovation. And just to get that going, I'm going to welcome Alison. Alison, you should be happy to introduce yourself, please.
Hi. Yeah, I am an assistant professor in healthcare innovation in the School of Medicine here in Trinity College, a physiotherapist by background, but obviously now working in academia, and I lead Module 3.
Thank you very much, Alison. I'm really lucky to have you because Module 3 is quite challenging and you bring all your expertise to it, and it's always such a success with the students. So thank you very much for being here today. Can you tell me, sorry, excuse me. Can you tell us a little bit about what do you think is the biggest challenge in driving change currently in innovation in healthcare? And how does the course kind of solve this problem for the students?
I think a lot of people sort of don't know where to start if they have an idea. There can be an awful lot of bureaucracy, red tape, reluctance from people that you work with, in order to implement change. So I guess what this course does is give you the tools to convince people that you actually have an idea and the backing behind it in order to be the person that drives it forwards. So it's about giving you the tools and the perspectives to build that idea and to create, I guess, an effective picture, an effective report that will convince other people to let's give this a go.
Super, thank you very much. Can you just maybe give us some examples of how the course goes beyond theory to provide practical, actionable tools for the students?
Yeah, I think a lot of the assessment strategies are intentionally designed to make things quite practical. So, you have group work, you have a lot of understanding stakeholder needs, design, thinking. You can understand the theory about them, but actually doing them means that you will gain the skills needed to bring all those pieces together. Similarly for Module 3 specifically, we intentionally get you to develop a 5-minute pitch where you present your idea in this succinct manner, but then you back it up with a report. So even though that can seem quite daunting, actually going through that process of producing those outputs means that you move from theory to practice and that you have the skills that let you do that in future as well for when you leave the course.
Thank you. And talking about skills, were you able to name 2 or 3 skills that participants gained from the course that actually they are able to apply in action after the course is completed?
I think certainly in relation to the pitch, I think communication skills are definitely driven forward, to be able to put what can often be a complex idea into a 5-minute video that is effective is a skill in of itself. So that's certainly one thing that I see in students. We also obviously look at teamwork in terms of that group stuff, working together in order to understand the problem at hand and to build something together. A lot of people will do that in their jobs anyway, but I think what's different here is that you'll be working with people from multiple backgrounds who, you don't know, who come from a perspective that you may not. So it forces you, I guess, to look beyond your immediate environment and to really get challenged that way from a team perspective. I don't know if confidence is a skill, but it's definitely an outcome that I think comes from it. Certainly I obviously do at module 3 and for how people are in the first week in relation to what's in front of them and their ideas and then how they actually finish off. There's a massive change in how people feel about the idea of pitching and putting something together. So that's definitely something that we see develop in people as well.
100%. If you compare presentation in module 1 all the way to the pitch video we see in module 3, it's impressive how much progress and confidence built along the course. So definitely can back that up. And it's something actually our external examiner mentioned as well in that report, that they really appreciated that confidence that is built, but also the relationship being built among the students and the staff in Trinity College. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Another question I have is, according to you, what is the most common aha moment or shift in perspective that you've seen in the students as they progress through the program?
I think by the time people come into me, they have a really good and deep understanding of um, what you need to do to understand stakeholder needs and the importance of that. And I think, particularly within health, where there's a big shift happening in terms of patient-centeredness and co-design. I think having those as foundational skills is absolutely integral. I think for me, the aha moment that I see in people within the module comes, I guess, at the midpoint or close to the end of it, where we do a little bit of peer feedback, where you will get an awful lot of feedback and support and suggestions in relation to your pitch. And then you have the time to adjust that pitch based on all of that feedback. So I think by seeing what everyone else has done and I guess learning about what you're doing in relation to the rubric, I think people move from the space of what is this pitch and what does it look like to actually seeing it and thinking, I know what I need to do now. So I think that's probably a big shift that I see in people.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure there's something that they mentioned a lot, like the peer review. It's something that is not being done everywhere and it's a bit different, but that we do it. And students get a lot from it. And as you say, because of different background or different profession, they bring something very different to that pitch. So it's very interesting itself for them to have that. We're just talking about, as we said, different background and different experiences. And sometimes people are wondering, should I apply for the course? Is this really made for me or not? Do you think there is, well, according to you, who would benefit more from the course? Is there anybody that should really do that course depending on what they're currently doing or aspiring to do?
I don't think that there's a particular background that you have to have in order to do it. I think, your slide already has shown the range of different professions that are in the course. And I think that's probably one of the strengths of it is that diverse sample coming from all different perspectives adds value to it because it does, as I said, broaden your horizon. So, I wouldn't be worried for anybody thinking, is this for me? Because regardless, actually, we've had people not from healthcare backgrounds be in the course and they still get an awful lot out of it because I think some of those what I'm going to call foundational skills in terms of communication, pitching, stakeholder needs are actually applicable to any domain, regardless of what your background is in. In saying that, I think the people that it suits most are the people who are open to having some of their opinions challenged, who are looking to explore other people's perspectives, who want to affect change and are, I guess, motivated to do that, but maybe are just looking for the how. So I think if that describes you, regardless of your background, then I think, that this would really suit you.
Thank you very much, Alison. And I think you mentioned something very important. It's not just about being willing to open a business or create a new venture. It can also be about your own personal and professional development, or about something you'd like to change within your own company, or a process that you can see an improvement, but you don't know how to bring it up to, to your manager. So there are different tools that you require in the course that will allow you to do all of this, even if it's not about a new venture. You will get tools that you can use in everyday life as well. And I think Belenda has some example to share with us, actually, as a nice transition toward Belenda alumni. Hi, Belenda. How are you
Hi,
doing?
good, thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Sure. So I'm Belenda Ryan. I originally trained as a nurse. I left nursing a long time ago, went into healthcare management. I had taken time out. I was personally for caring for over 5 years and returned to the workforce just over 2 years ago. I signed up for the course, I suppose, because I wanted to validate myself against my peers. I felt a little bit of insecurities around the fact that I had been out of the workforce for a while. I work in a company called Care Connect. It's a very innovative company looking at chronic disease management in the home, digitally monitoring through a nurse-led team. It's part of Centric Health. And I guess felt a little bit in awe of my colleagues and how they had come up with the idea. And then learned through design thinking that there's a lot of ways of coming up with ideas like this. So and that's how I got into the program. It wasn't necessarily to actually start a program on my own or with an idea of my own.
Thank you very much, Belinda. Alison, may I invite you to maybe do a bit of Q&A with Belinda?
Absolutely. So thanks, Belinda. You've given us a bit of information about your background and I guess what led you to do the course. We've spoken already about, I guess the diversity of people that are in the course in terms of backgrounds and Jeanne has obviously outlined, what the course looks like in terms of its structure. So how did you find that learning experience and working with different people from all these different backgrounds?
Yeah, our group was very mixed. It was nearly that slide. It was a mixture of everything from dentistry to health tech individuals to doctors, pharmacists, physiotherapists. It really was a mix, and a mix of ages. I guess it was actually great because in your workplace you have a certain group of people and it tends to be the same people every day. So it was lovely to bounce ideas around a group that was so diverse, and very open to sharing. I think everybody on the course was very open to um, ideas and sharing ideas and critiquing and giving examples. So yeah, it was really beneficial, really helpful, both in the course and actually in the workplace as well, because you could take back ideas that that came up, that popped up as part of a discussion.
Super. And within that then, was there any, I guess, particular, topic, framework, project, assignment, or anything like that that I guess, has sat with you and that has changed the way you think?
Yeah, there were a number throughout. I suppose the one that stands out for me, you mentioned earlier, Alison, that halfway through the course that you see the aha moments. In module 2, we did a lot of work in module 1 around design thinking and as a group, which was fabulous and it really worked well. In module 2, there was a reflective piece, which for me really was the stop and think and the aha moment as to why I was doing it, what I was learning from it, and where it was I wanted to go. And it was really, I suppose it's not something that I would do on a day-to-day basis or in the workplace very regularly. It's definitely something that I am much more open to and do more regularly now, is to stop and reflect and use not necessarily use the model that we had, but parts of it sometimes. And yeah, for me, that was one that really struck me as being really important to the whole course.
Great. And it's nice to hear that you're still able to implement it even now, which I think is probably one of the key aims of this. Um, in terms of obviously, it can be quite daunting to come back into the university space and I guess adjust to that. So was there any sort of a challenge in particular that you encountered in the course? And if so, how did you find you overcame it?
Yeah, I suppose coming back into academic life is difficult when you're working and you have family and you're trying to juggle everything. But once you've decided to do it, you make the space to do it. In terms of the group, we were very mixed in ages. I was probably of the more mature in the group. Um, and for me, I suppose it was my insecurities. I'm quite digitally savvy, but not as digitally native as the younger members of the group. And for me, that was something I had to work really hard on and have continued to work on since, to develop my own digital skills and just, yeah, fluency and an ability to know where to go and what to do certain things, which was really important to the course, I think.
And in terms of those kind of skills, did you find, was there support within the group, or was there any particular way there, or I guess feature that helped you overcome that?
Within the group, there was absolute support. We at the very beginning, we signed a contract with each other to say what we would do, and how we would interact, and it really was superb. I mean, the interaction was fabulous, and you just had to say, "I'm stuck on this," and somebody would come back with an idea or a suggestion. Within the course facilitators and our lecturers as well, you were all fabulous to help if there was an issue. There was no such thing as go find it out for yourself. There was always help available. And there was plenty of resources online as well. So there was no shortage of support.
Great. You mentioned already that you have continued to use some of those self-reflection skills and I guess that particular assignment or framework that worked well for you. Was there any other sort of aspect of the course in terms of the learnings that you've brought to your existing role?
Absolutely. I suppose part of module one in the design thinking, there were a number of frameworks we used for ideation and for coming up with ideas. The empathy mapping was something that I would use regularly. We work a lot with patients and developing new services. So it really is, but it's not just the patients, it's also the nurses, the doctors. So looking at how a new service would affect people from different sides and just having that understanding has made a huge difference because it does open the conversation to, well, actually, how would that affect somebody else? So that's been a very, very big part of onwards of work that I've done since, and also just the lean model that we did in your module. It's not necessarily that I would write down everything, but in developing new services, would definitely look at aspects of that to determine how we would move forward. So, and there's lots of other, the why framework, the five whys. There's lots of different aspects that come up. And you don't use them all the time, but there are times that I would go back to my books and go, "Oh, that's what I need for this." So it's definitely something to refer back to. And there are bits that I use all the time and bits that I use bits of, and some that I mix and match to my own advantage. So yeah.
So it sounds like you've been left with a bit of a toolkit that you can pull out
That's
from as needed. Yeah.
exactly right. It really is, and it does give you the confidence that when you are discussing it, that you can say, based on this model, and it just gives you that little bit more credibility. And definitely, you mentioned confidence earlier. There is no doubt that it gives you confidence in discussions.
Super. So for anyone that's, I guess, hesitating or unsure whether they should apply, is there anything in particular you would say to them to get them thinking, about whether to go for it or not?
If you're interested in healthcare innovation, if you're interested in knowing how it works, even if it's for yourself to do it yourself or just what's happening around you, it is really, really well worth it. It does take dedication. So the months that you're on the course, you do have to give up some things. Life gets in the way, but there are times where you just have to stay up late at night and get things done when your children are in bed or whatever. It does take up time. It's not, it is an academic course that requires a bit of reading around as well. It's well worth it. It is really well worth it. And definitely once you qualify, attend the graduation. It is a fabulous day out. But yeah, I would say don't be hesitant, especially if you're on, if most of your costs are covered, it is so relevant and it's so worthwhile.
You've given us a kind of a really good insight into how the course has helped you in multiple different ways in terms of those tools and things like that. But if you were to, I guess, summarize your single biggest takeaway from it, what would it be?
It definitely is confidence. It's an ability to break things down into smaller aspects, and then from that build the story and build the pathway and feel confident that you can take it from conception through. In the class, you did take your idea from conception right through to pitch, and in the workplace you may not necessarily do that on your own. It will be part of a team, but having the insight from all aspects of that pathway is really, really important, and it really does give you the confidence to just explore more, to know where to go to find information and not be afraid to try something.
Super. Thank you, Belenda. Thank you for sharing that, and for speaking so highly of everything that you have taken forward with you. I think it's great to hear the practical elements that come, even once it's finished. So thanks.
Welcome.
100%. Thank you very, very much. It's always good to see what our students do with the skills they acquire in the course. So thank you very much for that. All right, guys, time has come for you to open up your mic and ask any question you may have. I would recommend you to make the most of the time we have with Belenda and Alison, as they're both expert now on the postgraduate certificate in healthcare innovation. And then if you have any question regarding the requirement to apply for the course, we can keep it at the end just with myself if you want. But anything that is about the course, about their experience as module 3 lead or as a student, past students, please feel free to unmute yourself, ask your question, or use the chat box if you want.
Quick question for Belenda. In terms of, you mentioned their time required effort, on a weekly basis, how many hours a week do you think you need to commit?
It depends on when the assignment is due.
All right. That's the weekend.
But you'd need to look to 4 to 6 hours a week, I would imagine.
Okay. Oh, that's yeah.
And having the online on a Friday, the first week is a little bit awkward, but it's done really well where you're broken out into groups. So even by the first Saturday, you've already met people the day before and spoken to them directly online. So, and then once you've met in class, the next week it just gets easier and easier. It's really friendly.
Yeah. And group size then, and typically
there were 6 in our group.
Okay.
So it's 5 or 6 generally, depending on the size of the class.
Of the class, of course, yeah. And it was interesting. You mentioned there you signed a contract.
Yes.
At the start. That was probably that was a good idea, actually. Yeah.
It was actually, and that's actually something I did recently. I was setting up a working group in my company, and we agreed at the very beginning, a signed contract as to how we were going to work. And what the expectations were, and that we all had an equal voice, which was very important. So that was something that I would definitely take forward.
Yeah, was that particular to your group, or was that across?
No, that was across the organization. Everybody's contract was different. It was up to each group to decide how they wanted to word their contract and what they put in it.
Okay. Yeah,
as part of that. Sorry, John. Apologies. I was just going to say, to add on that contract, just something that we do just so each groups can agree on what important values that they have, the mean of communication, if there's certain time to agree on being in contact, if it's WhatsApp, if it's email, just so everybody is comfortable with group work, because you all have different priorities, different time when you're available. So we just try to take in consideration everybody's availability, mental space as well. Everything is trained just to make sure that you have a good experience while working with people.
Yeah.
So group contract is something that, always work. And we can always look back at it, to reference to it.
Yeah.
We never had to go back to reference it. It was,
No,
but
sorry,
just having had the discussion at the beginning sort of set the tone. So it was really important.
And even your idea of bringing it back into work is a very good idea as well, because it's not something people would think of. But, when you have a group, you do want people to pull their weight. So
absolutely.
it's
And
nice
when you
to
work in a healthcare organization, well, for
Mm.
me, and so you have, doctors and there are nurses and there are admin, but actually within a working group, we're all equal regardless of
Exactly,
what your role is. So it was very important to establish that from the very beginning.
Yeah, very good idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John, for being the first one to speak up.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Always the hardest to get someone to speak up, isn't it?
That's what we need in the classroom as well. So thank you.
I go
Alison, we had a
quiet now.
question. Oh, sorry, John. My
No,
apologies.
I go quiet now. Sorry.
We just had a question in the chat box there from Claire. Alison, I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, thank you, Ruth.
So for the pitch at the end, it's not something that you have already implemented. So it's something that you either would like to implement or for some people it's hypothetical. So this is an individual piece. Some people end up doing ideas that they have maybe developed in module 2 and that they would want to move forward with. Some people have already got ideas about things that they actively want to change in their own workplace, and so it's quite close to home, and maybe they've already started to do the initial work with it. And some people genuinely have no idea what kind of an idea to do, or they're probably in a different stage in their career, or maybe that's actually what they're looking to develop further, and so it's a little bit more hypothetical in nature. One of the key things that we do is try to support you in how to pitch depending on how far along you are in that idea. So someone who's in a much earlier phase may need to focus more on the problem than someone who is much further along. So it depends.
And I just add in module 2, there were different ideas put forward, different groups, and we were just assigned a group, some of us. And I ended up in oncology care, which is not something I know anything about, which was it was really good because I just took on an idea that I hadn't had or run with, and so it required a lot of research and took me through a whole process as well, from a different perspective and angle, which is another potential opportunity.
Thank you, Alison, and thank you, Belenda. Anyone else has a burning question? Yeah, Martina.
Hi, sorry. Could I just hi, Alison and Belenda, and sorry, you as well. Your name isn't on the screen, but just to go back, I suppose, about the idea and the group work versus individual work. So, if you go into the course, you either apply with an idea or you don't have an idea. What is the context for group work? So like the presentations, the reports. So just say, for instance, somebody who has an idea and somebody who does not. What is the context of group work and individual? So when you're presenting at the end of module 1 or preparing a report, what is that based on? Your own idea or a group idea, a fictitious idea?
It's a group idea. So you come together and discuss and find something that all of the members have an interest in, or have some, not everybody will be an expert in it, but that is willing to research part of it. Yeah, so it is about finding an idea that works for everybody.
Can I just, sorry, I was just going to say, by the time you get to module 3, I mean, remember, this is a process, right? And a lot of people will come into the course maybe looking to change processes in their job as opposed to set up a new venture. That's actually, particularly in the healthcare context, that is very common. but there are multiple steps to that, and there are multiple skills to that. And so some of that kind of foundational work in terms of understanding, we'll say empathy mapping, design thinking, you apply as a group to a general idea. But then by the time you get to module 3, we switch the focus from, I guess, maybe what I'll call some of the theoretical elements of other ideas to what is it that you want to look at, and taking some of those skills as it is applied to your specific idea. So some of it is a building process to get you to the point of module 3 where you bring it all together.
Okay, thank you. And then the bit at the end, yeah, is either your own idea or the group idea.
So in module 3, everyone submits an individual idea. So it is not that you take on some people, I've actually not had it yet where people take on the single thing that the group did in module 1. It may be around a particular theme or a patient cohort, but by the time you get to module 3, everyone has their own individual idea that they wish to pitch and to develop further.
Thank you.
In module 1 is really to give you the tools for you to practice and to do group work, because these are soft skills that you need as well in every profession to deal with different people. So it is quite different, to be honest with you. It's really an introduction to what is healthcare innovation. So we challenge you, but at a different level. And then you really start focusing on your own idea, and you dive deeper along module 2 and module 3.
And I would say that having a group in module 1 around that first project is really important, because you get to discuss a lot more, which when you've just entered the course, you're just on the course, there is so much new, and having that group that you can throw ideas at or ask questions of is really important. So as Alison and Jeanne were saying, it is about building the groundwork. It's the foundation, but it's done in a supportive way with your group. So you're learning every question that comes at you or that you throw out there. It's there is group learning there.
Thank you, Belenda, and thank you, Martina, for your question. If you have more, please go ahead. Feel free to do so. Hi, Brian.
I have a question. It might be for all of you. After the course, what was your path? Did you bring the course back to work? Did you move on to other courses, or like where did you go on your journey after the course?
For me, I focused a lot on my digital skills. So I did some additional training on around graphic design and Power BI, a few, so some different, that for me was a big focus. And then I work, I was saying, in a quite an innovative company anyway, so we're always looking at developing new pathways. So it just came with me into the workplace. But for me, the big focus that I learned was my need, or my big action point was develop my digital skills.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'm afraid to tell you this, but there's a storm breaking out here in Cork.
I feel like Dublin is too far away. We'll wait a bit more before it arrives to us.
There's thunder outside my window. It's gone dark.
Hopefully it passes soon.
In terms of course material, are there handouts, or what way does that work, or is it all online? Just out of curiosity.
Well, certainly within module 3, I would direct you all to resources that are available online, freely available. There are ways of working within class and post-its and posters and all these kind of things that might be given, but in terms of the background stuff, most of it's online, and it's directed to you through the learning platform, which is again Trinity's learning system online.
Okay, thank you.
So at the end of each class, we make all the slides that we use in class available, so you can review them, download them, have them available throughout the entire academic year. And And if you do some work, like we sometimes like to do interactive work with Miro board or things that are online, that maybe Belenda, that was kind of the reference to the IT things that we use. We do that in class quite a lot, and then make them available as well to students, so you can refer back to what was done in class quite easily. We don't really print anymore, but all the slides are available online. And as Alison pointed out, we do a lot of post-its activity, writing on the walls, on the whiteboard. So it's quite interactive, especially in module 1. It's quite interactive through all the ideation sessions. So we'll do a lot of very different type of activity, I must say, not just handouts.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yeah, I just thought I heard Belinda talking about books there for a second, so I was just curious.
I got my own books that I got from the library and different things like that. But yeah, but no, everything is online.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, thank you.
We also give you reading links, like additional reading material, if you wish to investigate and go a bit further than what is covered in class. But you have additional material if you wish just to do extra work on it. And as Belenda just mentioned as well, as you would become fully a Trinity College student, you would have access to all the facilities in Trinity College. So library, the gym, student lib card, but most importantly, the graduation, which is definitely our favorite day. Second favorite day for me. First one is induction, when I get to meet you all for real. And then graduation, which is fantastic celebration of your achievement. So looking forward to that always.
Also, just to say, we have created a WhatsApp group, and even yesterday there are still messages coming in all the time. Something new that's happening, some innovation that's, something from the HSE. So there's constant updates. So it's a continued resource. 2 years on for me now.
I'm not part of the group, neither is Alison or the teachers. Don't worry, it's just you guys.
Just us, yes. It's just the people who are on the course. But yeah, pictures of babies come in, and then the next one might be, this HSE or the Department of Health has just released a new policy, or there's a course coming up here, or there's a conference here. So yeah, it's really good.
Sorry, may I ask one more?
Please, Martina, that's what we're here for.
So I guess, Alison, as well, with the venture funding aspect, have you ever had social enterprises come on the program as well? And is there kind of an exploration of, kind of funding for?
It's not the primary focus of Module 3. However, there's probably about 1, maybe 2 students a year that decide to focus on a social enterprise venture. We don't place a limit on the type of idea that you have to do. But I guess there's an acknowledgement that the funding stream or how you would grow something like that is obviously going to be different to what you would do from a venture perspective. So there's just simply not scope to go into the funding that would be associated with that. But that's not to say that we don't guide people towards the areas to think about. At the end of the day, most of people's ideas are in some way hypothetical. And so what we want is that you have the skills, the knowledge, and the awareness of what you need to look for, even if we'll say the exact figures are not necessarily correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, so we had a guest speaker in from social enterprise in one of the modules, and we had a guest speaker in from a profit driven enterprise also. So there are real world examples of what's happening as well, and people to talk to us.
Last year, if you want, for example, we had Martin Kelly who joined us in Module 2 as a guest speaker as well, who is the founder of Health Excel, and he's also an investor now. So examples in Module 2, we try to get you a couple of guest speakers who are relevant to the industry, and maybe give you possibilities as well for after the course. So just put his LinkedIn there. He's always happy to connect with anybody, so feel free to do so. He's really good. All right, guys, any more questions before I turn off the recording? Okay, I'm going to turn off the recording. Goodbye for everybody who's watching online, and thank you for watching.